Okay, so recently, for some reason, I can't really say specifically why, honestly, but for some reason associated with this, I decided to pick up Duel Links, and like, I'm still not very good because like this is the deck I've currently got is just this one right here. It's just Dragonmaids. It's not even like complete Dragonmaids. I really need a third kitchen for it to be complete. But it's a deck, and I'm using it. And I had a game that was absolutely ridiculous, so much so that despite the fact that I've literally never in my life decided to stream Yu-Gi-Oh! on YouTube or make a video about it or anything, I had to because it was that insane. I'm playing against a Galaxy Eyes deck, and I go second, and as you can see, this game took 15 turns, so it's a bit nuts. So we're going to go through it, and I'm just going to talk about it. I spent like half of this game with turn timers of 60 seconds and then 30 seconds to react, because I was hard butting up against time, but so were they, so it's fine. So our opponent is they're doing a massive Galaxy Eyes Photon combo that I have never seen before because I'm a Yugi boomer, and this deck was after my time. So I'm just staring at all of these, trying to wait for him to consolidate this field into something that might be worthwhile, so that I will know what specifically I need to be looking out for. So like I'm looking at Galaxy Photon Dragon to try and read it for any possible disruption or anything like that, and there's nothing there. And by the time I'm done reading that, he's already played Galaxy 100 and done like 3 other things. He's got Photon Emperor out now, and I'm reading that one, and I'm like, okay, he gives an extra summon, and then I see his Soulflare Dragon, and I'm like, okay, I can do things to Soulflare Dragon, I guess, because it's a dragon, therefore it's really useful, but also it's got that quick effect, which is going to be a problem. So at this point, I'm already trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and I see I've got Change of Heart, he's got a dragon, I can work with this, I'm going to steal it. I just have to figure out what I'm going to do about the rest of his stuff. So I go ahead and I immediately discard Lorpar. The reason I discard Lorpar is to force out his Galaxy Eyes' response, because I try and... Lorpar's whole thing is she turns off its effects, and if the opponent does not do anything about that, then they're not going to be able to use it, so I literally just said, smoke him if you got him. And so he decides to smoke him, negating my Lorpar, and then chaining it again, to attach to it as material. And then from there, we've got ourselves my Change of Heart play that I wanted in the first place. Then I get my kitchen. They imperm my kitchen, which sucks, but that's fine because I've got Dragonmaid Tinkek in my hand. This allows me to immediately pitch it. That in turn powers up my kitchen, and then I can turn both of them into a Lady's Dragonmaid. Boom. Lady's Dragonmaid summons Nurse, and here's... There for a moment, Nurse didn't summon something, and I was genuinely confused why that did not happen. My only level 4 or lower got banished to call out Ladies, and that's the other thing. My opponent used this to banish something from my deck, and it's Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, which would have been an out to the field that they're trying to build towards. But like, I didn't have any way to call it, so that was fine. Honestly, they weren't going to do much to my deck, because it was just... I've got 3 of every Dragonmaid worth playing, everything else is one-ofs. So they picked the right one-of, I think, but still. I go ahead and link into Heroic Seal. Boom, Heroic goes down. I activate my Ruins of the Divine Dragon Lords, which does not actually really help me this turn because of how it works. I attempt to use ladies, opponent negates and destroys ladies, which sucks. And then my opponent goes through, does their thing. And they continue going into a ridiculous combo. Specifically, they get their Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon. And I'm like, okay, you're planning something with that, so I just spin it. And then because I spun it, I can go ahead and do Parlor. And at this point, I am aware that I am wide open in this duel, so I immediately pitch a copy of Dragonmaid Tidying. This, of course, basically, if I'm pitching Dragonmaid Tidying in this deck, it's a statement that I want to stay alive. And I want to stay alive, because I sense they're about to go nuclear. This was early, honestly. I should not have done this. I should have waited. But I did not wait, and because I did not wait, I got Ladies Dragonmaid now. Oh wait, no, I remember why I did that. I wanted to do it so that my runes would be turned back on. So no, that was actually the correct move. Chamber then chains to my ruins, and then the ruins happens, and now her effect is negated. And here's the fun part. My opponent goes into frickin' number 38. This guy. Once per turn, when a spell card or effect is activated on the field, negate the effect, attach that card to this card as a material. And you can chain to this, so it just works. And so the only thing my ruins negated was my own chamber. Oops. Anyway, so he goes ahead and continues through his combo to set up kind of a really sick, nasty lock, if I'm being completely honest here. So he goes into Starleash Photon Blast Dragon. This thing, I did not read immediately, and I wish I had. While the succeeds summon monsters on your field, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with 2,000 or more attack with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That's really annoying. This gets in my way. I do not understand what this does until, like, midway through my next turn, I think. He then calls back out his Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and he banishes a lady Dragonmaid. He probably shouldn't have done that, but that's its own thing. So he goes ahead and sets this up. Then he pays 2,000 life points to get 2 more monsters. Turns one of them to level 8. And then he also goes ahead and shuffles 5 Photon cards back into his deck to draw 2 cards. So he's still setting up his field. And he goes into number 62, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So at this point, he's got Hope Harbinger Dragon, 4,000 beater. If my monster declares an attack, he can ditch a material from the card to change the attack target to it. So this 4K is the only thing I can attack functionally, unless I have a monster negate, which I don't. He's also got the ability to stop me from targeting or destroying any of his 2K or more attack monsters with card effects. That's a problem because my 1 Seals is now in my graveyard, and I don't have a good way to get rid of it. And he's about to do something with this. It's a Chaos Evolution. And I'm like, what is this thing? So, Chaos Evolution here. Start of the battle phase, detach 1 material from this card. This card can make up to 3 attacks on monsters during this battle phase. And then also, because it has Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon as a material, it is unaffected by my monster effects, and it also gains attack equal to the combined levels and ranks of all its materials times 100. In other words, it's frickin' huge. And I decide to go ahead and cycle my Parlor to call out Lorpar. And he bonks my girl, and my other girl, and my third girl. And then he tries to bonk me directly, but I discard Ernest, and that gives me Parlor. And then he gets a direct attack for 2,000. And now it's my turn, and I draw. So at this point, Hospitality is a dead play because it's just going to negate it and take it. but I go ahead and make the play anyway because I hope that he will do that. And he gets sucked in, and it doesn't work. So at this point, my only card is this face-down Dragonmaid Tidying, which does nothing on the field. I am officially 100% screwed unless my opponent specifically destroys this Dragonmaid Tidying. Because I do not have any other outs to this field. This is locking me down. I can't attack over it because this will redirect my attacks. Massive monster that just kills me. This is not a good day to be TQ. Opponent draws. And they go ahead and do an Xyz change into Galaxy Eyes Cypher Blade Dragon. This thing, once per turn you can detach a material from it, target a card on the field, and destroy it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. The second I saw that, I knew what they were going to do, and I knew I was still in this game. So they destroy my Tidying, they direct attack, Tidying is removed from play. This allows me to special summon back my Nurse. My Nurse proceeds to special summon my Parlor. Parlor Dragonmaid goes ahead and ditches another Tidying. So that's a bonk, that's a bonk, and that's a bonk. I take 2,000, unfortunate, but we're still in this. Turn change. I draw, and I need a good card. Okay, they go ahead and resummon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. This allows them to search my stuff to banish something. I go ahead and chain my Dragonmaid Tidying. Tidying will give me back in my draw phase a copy of Lady's Dragonmaid. Bonk. Galaxy 100, he goes ahead and removes another Lady's Dragonmaid. This means I have 2 of them banished. Anyways, Lady's Dragonmaid activates, gives me a chamber. Chamber activates, gives me a changeover. Then, standby phase. Lady's Dragonmaid activates. I put a Lady and a Kintek back into deck in order to call out the big one. All of these banishes basically have turned into free material for Lady's Dragonmaid to abuse. And I do make some misplays here because I'm starting to run low on timer, but Shio allows me to pull back Nurse, pulling back Parlor, and I ditch Dragonmaid Welcome. This means that my opponent cannot target Dragonmaid monsters I control with card effects, which means basically like... Honestly, that might have been useless. I don't know if this targets. I don't think it does. Oh. Yeah, no, it does not. This one's not a quick effect. It didn't matter. This one... Okay, it would have stopped the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. That's it. That's the only thing it would have stopped. I also make an error by not fusing off my Lady's Dragonmaid here, because she's just going to be gone at the end of the turn. I should have done something with her, but I'm going to forget. Anyways, main phase 1, I do a changeover. They go ahead and negate my changeover. I go ahead and negate their negation of my changeover, and I'm like, okay, this will destroy that thing. And it's not destroyed. But I get my House Dragonmaid, and I'm like, aha, well, I can bounce things now. And then I fuse into a second House Dragonmaid, of course. Bonk. This then, I go ahead and bounce my chamber back to my hand, then resummon it, and I'm like, wait, why am I not getting pops? And this is when I finally read frickin' Starliege. And I'm like, oh, this just got complicated. Anyways, I realize I can't attack, so I just go ahead and end my turn. We're at a stalemate. That said, this duel is officially a mess. And if there is one thing I am good in, it's a friggin' mess. So, they go ahead and do their ditch to destroy a card on the field. That's fine. Battle phase happens. Nurse spins for Ernest. Chamber spins for Kintek. And they cannot blast through everything. I take some chip damage from getting my face rolled, but that's fine. I can deal with that. He removes those. And I'm down to just Kintek at this point. But that's fine, because I got a Nurse on their turn, allowing me to summon Chamber on their turn, allowing me to pull a spell card on their turn. I will take my Hospitality and move on. So, they still have a pretty unassailable field, and we have 3 spells that we can use. So I go ahead and quick effect Airness to get it into the graveyard to get my Chamber onto the field. This gives me Dragonmaid downtime. From there, Airness is in the graveyard now, so I can banish it and Nurse. This gives me back Lady's Dragonmaid. Bonk. Lady's Dragonmaid, special summon level 4. I'll take Kitchen. Kitchen activates, giving me a Churmbra, which I immediately discard. I then go ahead and target Lorpar in my graveyard to summon it back using Return of the Dragon Lords. And now I have the battle phase. I spin Chamber to call back House. I then go to main phase 2, in phase, and I'm confused. My plan here was to bring Dragonmaid back. I forgot that I didn't have a Kitchen in my hand, and I didn't have a Kitchen in my grave. Basically, you can only switch with a level 3 in hand. I should have spun Kitchen to get back. Well, then again, I don't think I could have spun anything there, could I? Nope, I'm still playing this as well as I possibly could. Anyways, opponent's turn. I can now Fusion Summon, so I'll shuffle Kitchen and my banished Lady for a free Shio. Shio hits the field, causing problems for my opponent, as usual. Pitch something, try to destroy Shio. I banish Return of the Dragon Lord. She's not destroyed. My opponent then proceeds to go ahead and try and attack into my Lorpar, and what I do is I activate Dragonmaid's downtime to bounce Tinkek to pull a second Tinkek. I can only use one a turn, but in the damage step, pitch Tinkek. It is now a 4,700 beater. My opponent takes 700. Then they bonk my Shio, I take 2. They bonk my house, I take another 5. This is not a winning position for me, except it is a mess, and therefore I can do things. So what I do from here is I realized, basically, I had a bunch of dragons, like 3 dragons in my banish pile, and I had 2 more on the field, so I could just ladies everything back into my deck and drop down a 5-headed dragon. Because he doesn't actually have an out to 5-headed dragon outside of Galaxy Eyes Cypher, who is now out of materials. Now I just need to get rid of Photon Orbital, and this thing dies to battle phase, and I'm back in this game. So, from here, the play is to go Chamber. They do actually drop a Ghost Blossom, which stops me from getting the effect off. I then go ahead and just bounce her and return a spell or trap my opponent controls to the hand, giving them back that. Ash Blossom negates my Chamber, and then Chamber is negated so nothing happens. But that's fine, I can activate Birthright. My opponent negates the Birthright, which I really should have seen coming. I could have done this in main phase 2. That's okay. I go ahead and punch it. This puts everything back in my grave, and he gets back a Emperor. Second main phase, I go to my end phase. That's it. Turn change. It's the opponent's turn. And once again, I fusion summon, and I don't realize I have nothing to fusion summon with, so I had to fuse off my dragon. But that's fine. I shuffled it back into the deck and got Shio again, so I have an Omni Negate. And then Shio activates. And I get back House. And then House activates, targeting Shio. And I get back Churmbra, who, dragon fusion monsters I control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. These 2 are now immune to opposing card effects. So basically, I've turned this entire duel into a fracas. So my opponent goes ahead and attacks into my Shio, which is a misplay because they've forgotten I have a second Tinkek. I pitch it. They take a lot of damage. And then they clear the rest of my field. Nothing I can really do about that. Second main phase, they go ahead and work on getting things back together, and now it's my turn. Draw. I go ahead and I special summon, they special summon. and then I also negate. And this is actually really mean, because by negating this, my Shio comes back in, I get House Dragonmaid, original flavor. Their effect is negated. Shio's effect is not negated. I get a House Dragonmaid. My opponent called buys Shio from my graveyard. This prevents me from using Shio's effect. That's fine. Shio is a once per turn. A hard once per turn. I cannot use her effect anymore. So I wasn't going to do anything with that. But I can use House Dragonmaid to get back a Tinkek, and then I can use House Dragonmaid, targeting House Dragonmaid, to get back another Tinkek. Main phase 1, activate this, bounce 1, go ahead and grab Dragonmaid Welcome. I then proceed to play Dragonmaid Welcome, giving me everything. I attack, pitching Tinkek to swing over, bonk. Second main phase, in phase, and that's turn. So, very simple turn. I then proceed to use Dragonmaid to pull a Lorpar and get Tinkek back in my hand, and then I proceed to use my crazy Wombo combo to get everything back on the field. Opponent does Galaxy things. And I proceed to, the second he starts activating things at Special Summon, I drop a Max C. It's in my hand, I might as well. But at this point, we've got ourselves kind of a turned around game. The opponent is now on the ropes, despite the fact that their position is pretty dominant. And I've still got 1,600 life points, which is kind of also on the ropes, but I can work with that. I'm also not in any real danger of decking out, neither are they. I also have most of my extra decks still, because I keep cycling it. And my poor opponent only has 6 cards left. So they are going through their combo to get everything they can. And he's getting Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. And the thing is, he's getting Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, but at this point, he has stopped using Galaxy 100 to banish things from my field, to banish things from my extra deck, because I'm just going to pull ladies. And once I've got ladies, I'm just going to keep profiting from it. So he's like, let's stop doing that. Anyways, he goes into Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and this is a problem. It negates the effect of every card on my field. There is nothing I can do to stop that. Also, he's big. Yeah, that's the other thing. He's just big. What is he, base 5,000? Oh, base 4,500 plus 5 plus 5. Okay, I see. So yeah, he's a 5,500 beater. Except he just negated these guys' effects, so now it's only 4,000. Then he boosts up to 5,000. Kills my Tinkek. And now I'm in trouble again. Except I'm really kind of not. This turn, I actually make a hideous misplay. At this point, I've set it to off, because for the last several turns, I have been 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 30 seconds. I am hitting cancel as the timer goes to 0 to get back 1 second to end my turn, just barely in time. So my thing is set to off this entire turn, just so I can make my plays quickly. This is a problem. So I go ahead and change over. I drew a bunch of cards off of Max C, so I can 5-headed Dragon again. And then from there, I Kitchen Dragonmaid, pulling back Nurse, discarding Nurse. And then from there, I get back changeover, bouncing this. Cool. I go ahead and change over, merging these two back into my favorite boy Shio. And then I go into battle phase, and I bonk with Shio, and I'm off, so I accidentally deal myself 1,500 damage. That's on me. It is my opponent's turn. They now get to draw, and they get to go into the battle phase, and they just go right for the final blow. Except I have Castle Dragon Souls, so I can banish a dragon monster from my graveyard, target a monster I control, it gains 700 attack until the end of turn. So she's 3,700 now. And then I pitch Tinkek. So she's 5,000, and then another 700 for 5,700. And my opponent couldn't lose their monster, but they'd still take the damage. And that was the absolute nuttiest duel I've had on Master Duel. Dear sweet Jesus Christ. If more games were like that, I would be having a lot more fun. Anyway, that's all. Y'all have a good one. Bye.